I would say this is my late Halloween special, but most of the videos on this channel are horror games anyway, so that would make no sense. Amnesia was a game that led me on a path that was slightly eerie, but somehow just got mentally darker and darker the further I played. Amnesia, the Dark Descent. Oh, okay, that tracks, makes sense. I only playing this game while having it on my Steam for years because of a homie recommended it to me. I was only told that this was a game that absolutely fucks with your mind. Rachel, if you happen to be watching this, I thank you for the lovely descent into madness. While starting having some disturbing, horrifying instances early on, it seemed like light horror, and I wasn't really sure what I was going to get into, what I could use, and why this game has gotten a bit of a cult following over the years. Indie games have made a wave of having amazing gems, especially in recent years, but Amnesia was released in 2010, and it's actually recently had a new addition to the series, like this year, 2023. Wow, what the f, that's crazy. Yeah, this one can still definitely hang with the big boys in my opinion. Roll them credits, let's get into it. When I say this game can hang with the big boys, I'm talking about the Resident Evils, the Silent Hills, and the Dead Spaces. Amnesia: The Dark Descent isn't a AAA title, quote unquote, but it creates an atmosphere and environments like no other. Starting off my playthrough with the main character Daniel, I immediately noticed there is no beginning cutscenes, no hints, no time direction, and you're thrown directly into the dark with just a lantern, and whatever way you feel is the correct way to go. I don't know. Because once again, even with brightening up my screen, this game is dark as hell. Like, y'all really fighting for someone to just pop out on the shadows, aren't you? Just like that face, randomly, just moving through the wilderness and the woods, and all of a sudden there's a Mike Myers white face in the middle of the darkness. That's what you're trying to do to me? Fair game. Also, shadows, the irony. Take note of that word because we'll be coming back to it later in the video. As I was saying, Amnesia is a dark game, and combining it with the elements of human reaction furthers your experience. Along with a normal average health meter, you also have a sanity meter, which I believe is the main key factor of why this game came out so great. The entire concept of this game is making darkness itself the enemy, and the environment fully plays on that. If you stay in the dark too long, your sanity begins to drain. If you witness certain traumatizing events, your sanity will drain. And if you see any enemies and you try to look at them too long or at all, your sanity will drain. And you will want to take peeks at them constantly because it's the trickery, the mind game. Curiosity really the cat in this story. And in reality, in any kind of situation when you're in the dark and alone, unsettling dread is the feeling that really comes to mind. Unless you're, I don't know, Batman. Our survival instincts kick in order to keep ourselves safe. This realism is something I personally loved in this game, and it took myself out of the fictional concept of, this is just a game. Am I alone? I need to find a way into some light. Am I hallucinating? Is the darkness really getting to me? Amnesia also uses sound quite often as a sanity element. You'll constantly hear small sounds throughout the castle playthrough as someone or something is following you, but nothing is in your vicinity. For now. Going back to the direction in this game, you only have access to Daniel's lantern and tinderboxes, which acts as your safety net for if your lantern runs out of oil. So just like conserving ammo in Resident Evil, conserve oil and tinderboxes in Amnesia, as it is now your ammo against the looming darkness. Depending on your chosen difficulty, Amnesia can be a bit of a nerve-wracking in the realm of conservation. Unlike most games, you don't have any maps here, and there are several particular parts that are essentially mazes. Yeah. Bit of a pain in the booty. There are several rooms that rush you as you can kind of see your oil drain in your lantern. And what's crazy about this is there isn't really a rush as if it's time, but rushed as if you don't want to get stuck in the dark because you don't know what's kind of waiting for you, and you're not going to be here to find out at the end of the day, so bye-bye. There are quite a good amount of tinderboxes, but it's important to always use these in areas that are completely dark. One torchlight can go pretty far for the most part, and to be honest, I found myself generally lighting one every 3 or 4 I came across if necessary. Candles are another option, but it's not as bright, obviously. It doesn't help that some actions in the game will blow out your light sources, and you kind of makes it feels like you just wasted in the boxes in the past like 5-10 minutes that you've been walking around in like complete shadows, but you know, Fun times. This plays on the sound elements along with the light in very fucking loud streams, like you walked in some sort of scene and saw. Earthquakes, as well as the illusion of the sound that you're on a ship somewhere in the middle of the ocean, are all parts of the sound design, and which just makes this whole thing perfect. In reality, it's not really explained until later in the game why this audio keeps stopping. It's pissing me off. It's also this weird cracking sound that in all honesty wasn't explained, and I don't know, bones breaking, finger snapping. I don't know, man. It just reminded me of Yu Hakusho when Taguro went like his full 110% and his like skin started like cracking and whatnot and like peeling off. Heebie-jeebies, bro. Heebie-jeebies.
Now destiny has rewarded my patience.
Amnesia is literally one of the most simplistic games I've ever played, but also one of the most unique. That's the word. As you have no weapons, what do you think can happen? What kind of situation is this game going to be putting me through if I don't have any offense? Well, you can hide. I guess that works, and realistically, I didn't think it was going to work that well, but it works very well. You kind of go unseen, even if you feel like you're kind of obviously in the open. I was a little skeptical at first, but this surprisingly works well. The enemies of this game are very far and few in between, and in fact, there are only 1, 2, 3? Something like that. You have what you call the Shadow, which is the fleshly, moldy goo that covers the castle from time to time as you progress. It's not really an enemy, but it can in fact hurt you if you like step on it, if you go around it. Like, it does actually start to give you damage. However, the good thing about this is that it generally means you are completing something vital in a story, since its goal is to hunt you. The next enemy is whatever the hell this invisible shit is. The Canker sister, like, I need to get a freaking like stand for this again because my last stand broke. I would actually consider this to be the first and only other boss battle in the game, if you kind of would consider it. Can't lie, this thing really scared the shit out of me. The way it just chases and creeps after you in the corridor it appears in is literally out of the blue, and it will constantly stay on you. And not knowing what it kind of looks like or what even is really actually makes it even more scarier. That makes sense, because this Shroud of Mystery, I don't really know how to explain it. There's a word for this, there's a theory about this, but it is what it is. You know that feeling when someone's like chasing you and you kind of like feel it in the back of your neck and it's like they're like this close? Yeah, that's the whole thing that this thing is like. And it's a small portion in the game, but it's that feeling the entire time. And it's not like Daniel can run very fast, so yeah, it kind of tickles just being chased in fear. Are those apples? The last enemy are the Reeds. Like, let's be honest, they kind of may as well be the Reeds. Like, come on, son, look at this. Every time this thing makes a sound, it's horrifying. The first time they gave me an enemy, they gave the one that gives Lynx the literal jiggle. They knew they gave Ocarina players horrible nightmares and they used it as a weakness for future generations. One of the worst sounds in existence. Anyway, back on track. These are called Gatherers? For some reason I read this as Gatherers at first, but it's definitely Gatherers, who are actually acts as Alexander's servants. It's pretty much hinted that these were soldiers that abandoned their war duties and met their fate in the cold, snowy woods, but they were experimented on afterwards and by Alexander and given the role of servants. I honestly went the whole game without looking at their faces because I wasn't really about to go down and look this thing in the face about what was chasing me, because nah, I'm gonna go ahead and pass on that, bruh. Besides, not only does looking at them drain your sanity meter, which is 100% accurate if this was in real life, but on harder difficulty, it can actually literally drain it to the point where it ends you. What's even more funny, but also scary as hell, is the fact they increase their speed when chasing you, because, I'm gonna say this, whatever you do, don't look back, because, damn, son. Yeah, because I refuse to look at these things dead in the eyes like Ghost Rider. If I ended up trapped, I would just turn my back and take the damage until it finishes me. Hey, yo. The literal point in Amnesia is in the title. You wake up as a character, Daniel, who has no recollection of who he is. I should make it clear that he only remembers his names and kind of where he's from. This is where I was very iffy about Amnesia, because it felt like it gave me just that. Amnesia. You just start going about and collecting notes. There isn't really any interaction. I feel like I didn't really get what was going on until maybe about the middle of the game, and for me that was about 5 hours in. However, me being slow with the story didn't really take anything away from my playthrough. It kind of just made me question, kind of just made me constantly question what the end goal. I figure I'll be facing this Alexander character at the end of the game, but how exactly will I be facing him if I have no offense? The basic gist is that Daniel leaves notes to himself after swallowing the amnesia potion. Recovering an ancient broken orb, he works with Baron Alexander, who manipulates him into thinking he can repel the shadow.
Inside the castle?
In a manner of speaking. Come, bring the lamp. You've been to the refinery, have you not?
I don't believe I have. Is it connected to the... what did you call it?
The inner sanctum. My most precious chamber, Daniel. And it lies well beyond the refinery. In fact, it lies beneath the very stone of Brennenburg.
Which is the fleshy blobs that occur over the castle as you progress through the game. Alexander is actually some sort of entity from another world that kind of hopes he gets back to his dimension. It's kind of like, you don't really figure that out until kind of later. Or maybe I'm just dumb, I don't know. And essentially, he's banished from this dimension. His ability to turn to his world lies within the powers of that orb. It's a simple story, but it gives a ton more mystery. It's a lot of unanswered questions, and I can kind of really see why it's like 3 more games after this one. Because there's a ton that you can really go with this. And I'm looking forward to playing him, so expect those videos moving on. As stated earlier, this game gets super dark later on, as you can kind of tell what kind of guy Alexander is. Basically a cold-blooded executioner. Alexander tortures several innocent victims in order to extract vitae in order to repel the shadow. And his means of doing this is super sadistic. By creating an amnesia potion, the victims are never allowed to get used to his torture and punishment, as fear and terror is the main key of creating vitae. Hey yo, this is mad dark, and even for a game, I've played my fair share of dark games, but damn son. For the story aspect alone is why I felt Amnesia could hang with the big boys, and in no way is this an action-packed horror sequence as the others, but it tells a compelling story that was perfectly executed. It made you uncomfortable and kept the pace in which you could possibly see what's next, but kept it mysterious enough to keep you wanting more. There are some characters that are involved like Agrippa, but very briefly. I think the thing that also got me was the concept of time, and the fact that time just wasn't very distinct at all. I wasn't sure for the longest time if Daniel was some sort of ghost coming back for revenge, or if it was just some new guy later down the road, like, at first. As I said, I didn't really kind of get it until, like, midway through the game. Also, like, how long has this Agrippa been down here? Under the fucking castle? Like, you've clearly been going through some, my guy, looking like this. Were you supposed to be human? Man's been tortured so much he's like switching DNA at this point. How are you talking just so nonchalantly about this? My man's been tortured sitting here, like I said, for I don't know how long. And then, like, I'm just chill. Like, I'm just at a desk somewhere, and I had a student walk in. I'm just telling him about these things. Because every time you come back in the room, he got something new to tell you.
Thank you. You have my gratitude. Daniel? Like a prophet thrown into the lion's den? Tell me, are you among the lions, Daniel?
But dude, he's not like telling you to get out of here, like telling him to free me. Well, he did tell him to free. Like, I'm getting sidetracked. It is what it is. Look, man, end of the day, he's definitely not dark enough to be in a DC universe, I'll tell you that. Somehow this game is still 20 bucks on Steam, and that alone will tell you how high this game is on the scary scale. Stale of the scary. Scary stale. Scale. Dang, can't get words at all today, sheesh. It's full of overwhelmingly positive reviews and ratings, and if anything, that'll kind of pique your interest. You playing Amnesia, and did you like it? And if there's anything in the game that you would change, what would it be? Also, disclaimer, if there's anything like a spoiler about what was changed in the game later, don't let me know because I'm gonna find out. Let me know in the comments section. Let's chat about it. Lastly, thanks for coming over to the channel, and a super special thanks if you stuck here to the end of the video. That's highly and much appreciated. Stay safe out there, guys. This is Kymax. Later.
There's no denying the things I've done, but I have paid my tribute. I gave them that awful man. I did the right thing.